Imagine you are walking through a beautiful forest, and suddenly, without warning, a storm hits. The winds are strong, the rain falls heavily, and you're unsure of where to go. You can't avoid it. You have to face it. Life sometimes feels like this storm, doesn't it? You might feel overwhelmed, lost, or unsure of how to get through. Have you ever wondered why difficult times come into our lives? Why it feels like we are pushed to the edge when we least expect it? Have you ever asked yourself, why me? Or how am I going to survive this? Life is full of ups and downs, but sometimes when the storm is too strong, it can feel like there's no way out. But what if I told you that, just like the storm, this too shall pass, and that there are tools within your mind to weather any storm? For example, think of a time in your life when you were facing something difficult. It might have been a loss, a struggle with health, or a period of deep emotional pain. Did you notice that as time passed, the intensity of your struggle lessened? The storm eventually calmed. Life, like nature, has cycles, periods of difficulty followed by peace. Welcome to Wisdom Woven, where we explore the teachings of Buddhism to help you navigate through life's toughest phases. In this video series, we will guide you step by step through the wisdom that can help you survive the bad phases in life. There are so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% of people subscribe. So please like, comment, share, and subscribe to our channel. And please drop your thoughts in the comment section. To stay energized, comment Namo Buddha, a reminder of the inner strength you carry within. In the next part, we will explore why suffering exists and how to understand it. The roots of pain, Buddhist insight into the origin of suffering. When you're going through a difficult time, it feels like the weight of the world is on your shoulders. The pain you feel is real, and it can seem endless. But here's something to think about. Why do we suffer in the first place? What is the source of our pain? Buddhism teaches us that the root of all suffering lies in something we may not fully understand at first: desire. This may sound strange. How can wanting something be the cause of our pain? But, in truth, it is the attachment to our desires, the belief that we must have something or someone in order to be happy, that leads us into suffering. Think about the last time you felt upset. Was it because something you wanted didn't go the way you expected? Maybe you wanted approval, or perhaps you desired comfort or success, but it didn't come to you. You felt frustrated, disappointed, or angry. This is the moment where the desire becomes the problem. It's not that desiring something is wrong, but when we become attached to it, we start to build our happiness around things that are outside of our control. And when those things are taken away, we are left in pain. Take a moment and think, when you're feeling overwhelmed by a bad phase in life, what is it that you're clinging to? What do you wish were different? It could be a relationship, a job, your health, or even the way others perceive you. The truth is, attachment to any of these things can cause us to suffer. And that's because they are impermanent. Everything in life changes. People leave, jobs come and go, health can fluctuate. But if we tie our happiness to these changing things, we set ourselves up for heartache. It's a bit like holding a flower in your hand and saying, I never want this to wilt. I need it to stay beautiful forever. But flowers are not meant to last forever. If you hold on to it too tightly, you might crush it. You might try to preserve its beauty, but in the end, you'll only cause yourself pain. Similarly, life is full of impermanence, and the more tightly we hold onto our desires, the more we risk hurting ourselves. What Buddhism asks us to do is not to stop desiring, but to learn how to desire without attachment. It teaches us that we must understand the nature of our desires and let them go. The moment we let go of the idea that we need something to be happy, we free ourselves from the chains of suffering. Now, this doesn't mean that we stop caring about things. It doesn't mean that we stop striving for better lives, better relationships, or better circumstances. Rather, it means we approach our desires with a sense of peace and acceptance. We can still want things in life, but we must learn to accept them as they are, without tying our happiness to the outcome. In Buddhism, this is where the idea of detachment comes into play. Detachment doesn't mean you don't care. It means that you're no longer emotionally bound to the things you desire. You can still enjoy your relationships, your job, your health, but you do so without the expectation that these things will always stay the same. You learn to appreciate them while they are present, knowing that change is inevitable. The Buddha taught that we must also understand the nature of suffering itself. In the Four Noble Truths, the first truth tells us that suffering is an inherent part of life. But the second truth tells us why this suffering exists. It exists because of desire, our attachment to things, people, and outcomes. The third truth offers hope. It tells us that we can end suffering by letting go of attachment. And the fourth truth gives us the path to do so, the Noble Eightfold Path. This path is a guide that shows us how to live in a way that reduces suffering. It's not a quick fix or an instant solution. It's a journey of understanding, practice, and patience. This path encourages us to live with wisdom, ethical conduct, and mental discipline. It helps us to see things as they truly are, not as we wish them to be. When we practice mindfulness and meditation, we develop the ability to step back from our desires and observe them without judgment. Instead of getting caught up in the chaos of our emotions, we learn to accept them as temporary. One of the most important aspects of this practice is mindfulness, the ability to be fully present in the moment. When you're in a difficult situation, it's easy to get lost in the past or the future. You might be replaying old memories of pain or worrying about what will happen next. But Buddhism teaches that the only thing that is truly real is the present moment. If we can focus on the present, we can find peace in the midst of chaos. When you're facing a bad phase in life, try to take a step back, breathe deeply, observe the situation without judgment. Are you suffering because of something you desire? Is it your attachment to an outcome that is causing the pain? Recognize this and gently let go of that attachment. It's not about ignoring your emotions or pretending everything is fine. It's about seeing them for what they are, temporary and impermanent. This is not easy. It's a skill that takes time and patience to develop. But every small step you take towards letting go of attachment brings you closer to freedom. And in this freedom, you will find peace. It's important to remember that letting go of attachment doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you are willing to accept life as it is, without constantly trying to control the outcome. You begin to see that your happiness doesn't depend on external circumstances. It comes from within, from your ability to stay balanced no matter what life throws at you. This shift in perspective is what Buddhism calls the practice of non-attachment. It's about finding joy in the present moment, without worrying about what might happen in the future or what you have lost from the past. When you live in this way, you discover a deep, unshakable peace that comes from within. In the next part, we will explore how the practice of mindfulness can help you even more as you walk through difficult phases of life. It's one of the most powerful tools to free yourself from the pain of attachment and find a lasting sense of peace. Letting go of control, surrendering without defeat. Life is like a river. It flows, it moves, it changes its course with the seasons. And yet, no matter how much we try, we cannot control the water. It is constantly shifting. And if you try to fight it, try to stop its flow, you might exhaust yourself, and the river will not stop. It will go on, regardless of your struggle. So, why do we try to control everything in our lives? Why do we feel the need to hold on so tightly? We live in a world that often tells us we must have control to be successful, to be happy, to be at peace. We're taught to manage every aspect of our lives, our careers, our relationships, our emotions. And it can feel good to think we have everything under control, that we are in charge of our own destiny. But the truth is, control is often an illusion. It's a belief that we can hold the reins tightly, and that if we do, we can avoid pain and suffering. But the more we try to hold on, the more we end up suffering. Letting go of control doesn't mean giving up. It doesn't mean that we stop caring or that we stop trying. Instead, it means accepting that there are things we cannot change and learning to find peace in that acceptance. The Buddha taught us that suffering comes from our attachments, our desire to control things, people, situations, and even outcomes. When we are too attached to these things, we create unnecessary suffering for ourselves. We believe that if we can just control everything, we can ensure a smooth journey. But life is unpredictable. It is full of twists and turns, ups and downs. The more we try to control it, the more we create tension within ourselves. So, how do we let go of control? How do we stop holding on so tightly to things that cause us pain? The first step is awareness. The next time you feel the need to control something, pause. Ask yourself, am I trying to control this because I fear what will happen if I don't? Recognize that fear. Fear is often at the root of our need to control. We fear the unknown, we fear uncertainty, and we fear loss. But fear is not something we can escape by trying to control it. The more we resist it, the stronger it becomes. In Buddhist teachings, we are encouraged to embrace the present moment and to let go of our expectations about how things should be. When we let go of the need to control, we allow life to unfold as it is, without resistance. It's like standing by the river, watching the water flow, and knowing that the water will always move no matter what. It will find its way. You don't need to control the water. You only need to watch, to be aware, and to trust the process. Letting go of control also means letting go of our attachment to outcomes. Often, we want things to happen a certain way, and when they don't, we feel disappointed, angry, or frustrated. We believe that things should go according to our plan. But life has its own plans. It has its own flow, just like the river. Sometimes, the way things unfold is not what we expect, but that doesn't mean it's not the best way. When we stop trying to control every outcome, we open ourselves up to new possibilities. We allow ourselves to experience life as it is, without the heavy burden of expectation. We can still have goals, we can still take actions, but we let go of the belief that we must control every result. Instead, we trust in the process and trust in ourselves. When we let go, we create space for peace. Now, this doesn't mean that we stop working hard or that we become passive. It means that we work with the flow of life, not against it. Imagine you're rowing a boat in a stream. If you row against the current, you will tire yourself out and make little progress. But if you row with the current, you move forward effortlessly. This is the difference between controlling and surrendering. When you surrender, you are not giving up. You are working in harmony with what is. You are no longer fighting the current. You are flowing with it. It's important to remember that surrendering doesn't mean weakness. It's not about giving in to everything that comes your way. It's about choosing peace over struggle. It's about recognizing what is in your control, your thoughts, your reactions, your actions, and what is not. The things that are beyond your control, you release. You let go of the need to manipulate, to force, or to control outcomes. You trust that life will unfold as it is meant to, and you find peace in that trust. Sometimes, letting go feels like falling into the unknown. But in reality, it's not falling. It's floating. It's like jumping into a pool of water and trusting that you will float, that you will be held. When we let go, we allow ourselves to be supported by life itself. It's not about being passive. It's about being open. Open to the flow of life, open to the lessons that come our way, and open to the possibilities that we cannot yet see. Surrendering also means accepting that suffering is a part of life. In the Buddhist teachings, suffering is not something to be avoided. It's something to be understood. We all face challenges, loss, pain, and disappointment. These are inevitable parts of the human experience. But how we respond to them is within our control. We can choose to resist and fight, or we can choose to accept, to let go, and to trust. By surrendering, we are not saying that suffering is good. We are simply saying that it is a part of life. And when we stop fighting against it, when we stop trying to control it, we create the space to heal and to grow. Remember, letting go is not about passivity. It is not about giving up. It is about choosing peace over struggle. It's about trusting in the flow of life, knowing that everything has its time and its place. It's about releasing the need to control and finding strength in surrender. The river will continue to flow, and so will you. The power of mindfulness, returning to the present moment. The storm rages on. The world around you feels chaotic. Every step you take seems to lead you deeper into the noise and confusion. You might feel lost, unsure where to turn. But then, in that moment, you realize that the storm is not just outside of you, it is also inside. The chaos you feel, the unease in your heart, these are the true storms. And you wonder, how can I find peace amidst all of this? This is where mindfulness comes in. In Buddhism, mindfulness is not just a practice, it is a way of life. It's about being fully aware of the present moment, not worrying about what happened before or what might happen next. It is about embracing the here and now, no matter how difficult or uncomfortable it may feel. Take a deep breath. Close your eyes for a moment. Notice how the air feels as it enters your lungs. Notice the rhythm of your breathing. Now, notice the thoughts that come and go in your mind. They might be fast, like a rushing river, or they might be slow, like the passing of clouds. But no matter what, you can observe them without judgment. This is mindfulness. Mindfulness is not about pushing away thoughts or emotions. It's about acknowledging them and letting them pass. Just like the storm, thoughts come and go, but you are not the storm. You are the sky, and the storm will eventually move on. Mindfulness teaches us that we are not defined by our thoughts, our fears, or our worries. We are not our anger or our sadness. We're simply the observer of these feelings, and we can choose how to respond to them. When life feels overwhelming, the most powerful thing you can do is to pause and bring your awareness to the present. The mind tends to wander, it always has. But the more you practice mindfulness, the more you'll find that you can come back to the present moment, no matter how far your thoughts may have strayed. With practice, you begin to see that the only moment you truly have is now. Not the past, not the future, just now. You may be thinking, this is too simple. I'm dealing with real pain, real problems. And yes, the challenges you face are real. But in those moments of pain, mindfulness can be your anchor. Imagine that you are standing in the middle of the storm, feeling the rain on your skin, hearing the wind howl around you. But instead of being overwhelmed by the chaos, you take a moment to notice the sensations. You feel the rain, you hear the wind, and in that moment, you are not lost in the storm. You are present, and the storm no longer has control over you. Mindfulness does not remove the storm, but it changes your relationship with it. The storm may still rage, but you stand firm, rooted in the present moment. You begin to realize that, just as the storm has its rise and fall, so does your pain. It too shall pass. We live in a world that is constantly pulling us in different directions. Our minds are often occupied by worries about the future or regrets from the past. But the present moment is all we truly have. And yet so often we miss it. We're so focused on what is to come or what has already been that we forget to live fully in the now. But mindfulness helps us reconnect with that precious moment. When you practice mindfulness, you begin to see the world with fresh eyes. You see the beauty in the simplest things, the sound of birds singing, the warmth of the sun on your face, the taste of your morning tea. You become more aware of the little moments that bring joy. You no longer take them for granted. Mindfulness also helps you see the impermanence of everything around you. When you are mindful, you realize that your thoughts and feelings are constantly changing. The pain you feel now is not permanent. The frustration you carry is not forever. And the peace you seek is always within reach. Everything, in its own time, will change. You will change. And that change is part of the natural flow of life. You might think that mindfulness is only for calm moments when life is easy. But the truth is, mindfulness is most powerful when life is hard. When you feel overwhelmed, anxious, or lost, mindfulness can help you regain control. It doesn't make your problems go away, but it gives you the space to breathe and respond in a more peaceful, measured way. One of the most profound ways mindfulness helps is by teaching us to let go. In the midst of a storm, when we hold on too tightly to our fears or worries, we only add to our suffering. But when we let go, we can flow with life rather than against it. Letting go is not about ignoring our pain or pretending everything is fine. It is about accepting things as they are, and allowing ourselves to move forward without clinging to the past. In every challenge, mindfulness offers you a way to reconnect with your true self. You're not your pain. You're not your worries. You're the awareness that observes these things. And in that awareness, you find freedom. The storm may still rage, but you stand in the center of it, unshaken and at peace. So, how can you bring mindfulness into your life? Start small. Begin by simply noticing your breath for a few minutes each day. Observe how your body feels as you breathe in and out. Let go of any thoughts about the past or future. Just breathe, and as you practice, you will begin to notice that moments of peace become more frequent, and the storms in your life become easier to weather. Mindfulness is not a quick fix. It's a lifelong practice. But over time, you will see its profound effects on your life. You will become less attached to your thoughts and emotions. You will stop reacting to life with stress and anxiety. And you will begin to embrace each moment, no matter how difficult, with grace and presence. As you practice mindfulness, remember that you're not alone. Every person you meet is facing their own struggles, their own storms. And just like you, they too have the ability to find peace in the present moment. So, as you move through your day, take a moment to pause and breathe. Return to the present moment and know that this moment, right here, right now, is enough, is all you need. When you return to mindfulness, you return to yourself. And when you return to yourself, you find the peace you've been seeking all along. Finding stillness within, meditation as a lifeline. When the storm of life comes crashing down on us, it can feel impossible to find a moment of peace. Emotions stir up like the wind, and our thoughts race like thunder in the distance. We feel as though the noise and chaos will never stop. But what if I told you that there's a way to find calm in the middle of all this chaos? A way to find stillness within, even when everything around you seems to be falling apart. Meditation, in its simplest form, is the key to unlocking that inner peace. It is not about stopping the world or making everything perfect. Instead, it is about learning to observe what's happening around you without being swept away by it. It is about creating space within your mind, where you can breathe and just be. When we meditate, we take a step back from the constant noise and demands of the world. We let go of our attachment to outcomes and simply sit with ourselves in silence. This may seem difficult at first, especially when the mind is cluttered with worries, fears, and regrets. But with practice, meditation becomes a lifeline. It is a safe harbor in the storm, a place where you can regain your strength and clarity. Think of it this way. If you've ever watched a storm from a distance, you know that while the wind howls and the rain falls fiercely, the sky above remains calm and clear. The storm rages below, but above there is peace. Meditation helps you reach that inner sky beyond the storm of your thoughts. You are not trying to fight the storm. Instead, you learn to rise above it, to see it for what it is, and to understand that it will eventually pass. At first, it can be hard to silence the mind. Thoughts seem to come and go without permission, like uninvited guests. But this is normal. The more we practice, the more we train our mind to focus, to settle, to be still. It's like teaching a restless child to calm down. With patience and consistency, you will notice that those noisy thoughts start to lose their power over you. They come and go, but they no longer control your peace. One of the key lessons from Buddhism is the importance of being present. The storm in your mind is often a product of living in the past or worrying about the future. We are constantly replaying old memories or imagining worst-case scenarios. But when we meditate, we bring our attention back to the present moment. We let go of the past and the future, and we simply sit with what is. This is where true peace resides, in the here and now. Let's imagine you're sitting by a calm lake. The surface is smooth, reflecting the clear blue sky above. But then, someone throws a stone into the water. The surface ripples, and the reflection of the sky is disturbed. However, over time, the ripples fade away, and the water returns to stillness. The stone that was thrown represents your thoughts. They create ripples in your mind. But with meditation, you allow the ripples to settle. The water becomes clear again. This is the power of meditation. It brings you back to clarity, to stillness, no matter how turbulent the world around you may be. In our modern world, we are constantly bombarded by information, noise, and distractions. It is easy to feel overwhelmed, to feel that we are always rushing, never able to slow down. But meditation teaches us to slow down, to step off the treadmill of life for just a few moments, and to reconnect with our true selves. It teaches us that we don't need to do anything to find peace. We just need to stop doing and start being. When you meditate, you create space for your mind and body to relax. You allow yourself to be fully present, without any pressure to perform or achieve. This might feel uncomfortable at first, especially if you're used to constantly doing something. But over time, you will notice that the more you meditate, the more you begin to accept yourself as you are, without needing to change anything. You realize that you are enough, just as you are. This is a powerful realization, one that can transform your relationship with yourself and the world. In Buddhism, meditation is not just a practice. It is a way of life. It is a way of being in the world without becoming overwhelmed by it. It is a way of seeing everything as it is, without judgment. When you meditate, you learn to look at your thoughts and feelings with compassion, instead of reacting to them with fear or frustration. You begin to see that everything is temporary, even the most difficult emotions. They come, they go, and they leave no trace. You are not your thoughts. You are the observer of your thoughts. This perspective is incredibly freeing. It means that you do not have to be controlled by your emotions or your circumstances. You can choose how to respond, rather than simply reacting. Meditation helps you cultivate this awareness and allows you to see that you have the power to choose your thoughts, your actions, and your responses. It is a reminder that you are in control of your own peace, no matter what is happening outside of you. Many people struggle with meditation because they expect it to be easy. They think they should immediately feel calm and peaceful, but meditation is a skill that takes time to develop. It is like learning to play an instrument. At first, it feels awkward and uncomfortable, but with practice, it becomes more natural. Over time, you will find that meditation becomes a refuge, a place where you can find rest and rejuvenation. You will begin to look forward to those moments of stillness, knowing that they are the key to maintaining your inner peace. And the beauty of meditation is that you can practice it anywhere, at any time. You don't need to sit in a quiet room with incense burning. You can meditate while walking, while sitting on the bus, or even while waiting in line. The practice is not about the place, but about the state of mind. It is about being present in the moment, wherever you are. And the more you practice, the more you will carry that peace with you, no matter where you go. The benefits of meditation are vast and profound. Not only does it bring inner peace, but it also helps to reduce stress, anxiety, and depression. It improves your focus and concentration, and it strengthens your ability to handle difficult situations with calmness and clarity. It is a practice that supports your overall well-being, physically, mentally, and emotionally. So, if you're going through a difficult time, remember that meditation is always available to you. It is a tool that you can use to regain your balance and to find your way through the storm. It is not a quick fix, but a steady practice that will guide you through even the most challenging phases of life. With meditation, you will learn to rise above the chaos and to find peace within yourself. And, just like that calm lake, you too can find stillness. The storms may come, but they will eventually pass. And when they do, you will remain steady, peaceful, and grounded in the stillness that is always within you. The Noble Eightfold Path, a map through the darkness. The path through life's difficulties often feels uncertain, like walking through fog. When we find ourselves lost in pain, confusion, or sadness, it's hard to see a way out. But in Buddhism, we are given a guide, a path that can help us find clarity, peace, and wisdom even in the most challenging times. This guide is called the Noble Eightfold Path. It's not just a set of instructions, it's a way of living that can lead us from suffering to liberation. The Eightfold Path is like a roadmap to guide us through difficult phases of life. But it's not just something to read or memorize. It's something to live by day, step by step. Each part of the path helps us see the world more clearly and respond to life's challenges with wisdom, compassion, and inner peace. The path starts with understanding, and that understanding begins with our thoughts, words, and actions. Right understanding is the first step. It begins with recognizing that suffering is a part of life. We all go through hard times. That's inevitable. But understanding that suffering is a part of life doesn't mean we have to accept it passively. We have the power to change how we respond to it. If we understand that suffering is temporary, like a storm passing through, we can ride through it with more patience and strength. This understanding helps us see that suffering is not the end, but part of the journey. Right intention is the next step. After we understand suffering, we must have the right intention, the desire to overcome it, to be free of it. It's about focusing our heart and mind on what will help us grow, heal, and find peace. The right intention is about kindness, compassion, and understanding. It's about choosing to act with love, even when the world seems harsh. When we practice right intention, we stop reacting out of fear, anger, or frustration. Instead, we respond with wisdom and care. Next, we have right speech. Our words are powerful. They can lift someone up, or they can bring pain and destruction. In difficult times, it's easy to speak out of anger or frustration. We may say things we don't mean or lash out at others. But right speech teaches us to speak with kindness, honesty, and compassion. It reminds us that our words should reflect our inner peace, not our inner turmoil. When we speak from a place of calm and understanding, we can help others and ourselves navigate the storm with a little more ease. Right action is the fourth step. It's not enough just to have the right thoughts and speech. We must also act in ways that align with our highest values. Right action asks us to live with integrity, to make choices that lead to peace and happiness for ourselves and others. When we're going through a difficult time, it can be tempting to make decisions out of fear or desperation. But right action helps us act from a place of clarity and wisdom, even when things feel uncertain. Right livelihood follows, reminding us that our work should align with our values and contribute to the greater good. Our livelihood should not cause harm to others, but should bring joy, peace, and support to ourselves and those around us. This doesn't mean we must have the perfect job or career, but it does mean that the work we do should not add to the suffering of others. In difficult times, our work can be a source of stability and meaning, but it can also become a source of stress and suffering if it doesn't align with our values. Right effort is the next step, and it's one of the most important. Life is full of ups and downs, and sometimes it feels like we don't have the energy to keep going. But right effort teaches us to keep moving forward, step by step, even when the way seems hard. It's not about pushing ourselves too hard or being perfectionists. It's about trying our best to act with compassion, patience, and wisdom. Even when we feel tired or overwhelmed, right effort reminds us to keep making progress, no matter how small. Right mindfulness is the seventh step. When we're going through a tough time, it's easy to get caught up in our emotions, to become lost in worry, fear, or anger. But right mindfulness teaches us to stay present. It reminds us to notice what is happening right now, without judgment or distraction. By staying in the present moment, we can avoid getting lost in the past or future, and we can see things more clearly. Right mindfulness helps us stay grounded, even when life is chaotic. Finally, we come to right concentration, which is about developing the ability to focus our mind. In difficult times, our thoughts can scatter like leaves in the wind. But right concentration teaches us to focus on one thing at a time, to quiet the mind and find peace and stillness. When we can concentrate, we can find clarity in the midst of confusion, and we can discover the strength to face life's challenges. The Noble Eightfold Path is not a quick fix or a one-time solution. It's a practice, a way of living that takes time and effort, but it's also a path that can lead us to freedom, peace, and joy, even in the midst of suffering. When we walk the Eightfold Path, we begin to see that the difficulties in our lives are not obstacles, but opportunities for growth. Each step on the path brings us closer to understanding ourselves and the world around us. And as we walk the path with an open heart and mind, we begin to realize that no matter how stormy life gets, there's always a way through. The path may not always be easy, but the more we practice, the more we will begin to see its transformative power. The Eightfold Path is not just a set of guidelines. It's a way of life, a way of being. It's a path that leads from suffering to peace, from confusion to clarity, and from darkness to light. It's the path that can guide us through any storm, no matter how strong it may be. And so, the question is not whether we will face difficulties in life. We will. The real question is whether we are willing to walk the path, to take each step with mindfulness, intention, and wisdom. When we do, we can weather any storm, knowing that on the other side lies peace, freedom, and the deep wisdom of life itself. Compassion in crisis, learning to be gentle with yourself. When a storm of life rages, it's easy to forget something simple yet profound. You are allowed to be human. In moments of deep pain or hardship, we often demand too much from ourselves. We think we should handle it all with strength, and we push through without any kindness toward ourselves. But that's not the way forward. The way forward is through compassion. Imagine, for a moment, that you are holding a fragile glass. You've been carrying it for days, and now it's cracked. It's easy to get frustrated with it, to think that it's no longer useful or that it's weak for being broken. But what if you could show compassion to the glass instead? What if you gently held it with care and accepted that it's simply part of life's process? The same applies to yourself. When you feel broken or hurt, instead of being angry at yourself for not being strong enough, offer yourself the same care and gentleness you would give to that fragile glass. This is a key lesson in Buddhist teachings. Compassion isn't just something we show to others. It must first be shown to ourselves. We often hear about helping others, being kind to others, but we forget that the most important kindness we can offer is to ourselves, especially when life is challenging. In Buddhism, compassion is seen as a boundless, loving force that can heal all wounds. But this love starts inwardly. We must learn to be gentle with ourselves in times of crisis. When you experience hardship, it's okay to feel pain, to feel lost, to feel frustrated. These feelings don't make you weak. They make you human. The trick is not to get lost in these feelings, not to let them define you. Allow them to be part of your experience, but don't let them control your life. When things are tough, take a moment. Close your eyes. Place your hand over your heart. Breathe deeply. And remember that it's okay to hurt. It's okay to feel overwhelmed. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to have all the answers. You just need to show up for yourself. Fully, completely, without judgment. This is not about being passive or giving up. Think about the last time you were going through a tough time. Did you speak kindly to yourself? Or did you push yourself harder, telling yourself to get it together? Or just keep going? If you did the latter, it's understandable. We've all been there. But now, ask yourself, what would happen if, instead of pushing, you slowed down and allowed yourself to feel your emotions? What if you showed yourself the same kindness and patience you would show a friend in pain? How different would your experience be? In Buddhist practice, self-compassion is a core element of healing. Without compassion for ourselves, we cannot truly heal. If we are harsh or unkind toward ourselves, we build walls of resistance. These walls only keep us stuck in pain. But when we offer ourselves compassion, we begin to soften those walls, allowing healing energy to flow in. Remember, the Buddha didn't teach us to avoid suffering. He taught us how to face it with wisdom and compassion. By acknowledging our pain and treating it with kindness, we transform it. This doesn't mean that the pain will disappear immediately, but means that we no longer have to fight against it. We can sit with it, understand it, and eventually move through it. You see, when we're in crisis, the last thing we need is to add self-criticism to the mix. We already have enough to deal with. Compassion helps us carry the weight more lightly. It's like carrying a heavy load. If we add unnecessary weight, it becomes unbearable. But if we lighten the load by accepting our humanity, our struggles, and our imperfections, we can carry it with grace. So, in times of crisis, try this. Take a step back and acknowledge your pain. Say to yourself, it's okay to feel this way. I'm doing the best I can. This small act of self-compassion can transform your experience. It doesn't mean that everything will suddenly feel better, but it does mean that you're no longer adding unnecessary suffering on top of your struggles. This is not about denying your feelings. It's about acknowledging them and then offering yourself the grace to move through them. The Buddha said, "You yourself, as much as anybody in the entire universe, deserve your love and affection." If you truly understood this, you would treat yourself with the same kindness and care you would offer a loved one who is suffering. As you practice compassion, you may begin to notice something remarkable. The storm doesn't feel as overwhelming. The pain doesn't feel as sharp. The difficult phase of life doesn't last forever, but how you treat yourself during that time can change everything. Compassion is the balm that heals wounds, and it starts within. In your moments of crisis, ask yourself, how can I be kinder to myself right now? How can I ease the burden of suffering with compassion? The more you practice, the more natural it becomes. And in the end, compassion will be your greatest ally in surviving life's storms. Compassion isn't something we do just once. It's a practice, a way of being. As you learn to show up for yourself with kindness, you begin to radiate that kindness outward, creating a ripple effect that transforms not only your own life, but the lives of those around you. So, in the middle of your crisis, let compassion be your guiding light. Karma and acceptance. How understanding cause and effect brings peace. Karma is one of those words that is often misunderstood. In the simplest sense, karma means action, the actions we take, the choices we make, and the effects those choices have on our lives and the lives of others. But it's not as simple as just saying what goes around comes around. There's much more to it, and understanding karma can bring a deep sense of peace when facing the tough times in life. Imagine for a moment that you're holding a stone in your hand. If you throw that stone into a pond, what happens? It creates ripples, right? These ripples spread across the water, touching everything in their path. Now think about your actions as those stones. Every word, every decision, every action you take creates ripples that touch your life and the lives of those around you. Some ripples are gentle and calm, while others might stir up strong waves. But just as the stone creates ripples, so do your actions create consequences. When bad things happen to us, it's easy to fall into the trap of blaming others or feeling like the world is unfair. It's natural to feel angry, hurt, or confused when life doesn't go the way we want. But in Buddhism, we are encouraged to see things differently, to look at life not as a series of random events, but as a series of actions and their effects. In this way, we begin to understand that nothing happens by chance. Everything we experience is connected to something we have done, whether in this life or in past lives. You might be thinking, but this doesn't feel fair. Why should I be suffering because of something I did in the past? And that's a very valid question. The truth is, not every difficulty we face is the result of our direct actions in this life. Some of the challenges we encounter are the result of our past actions from previous lives. But here's the key. While we can't control the past, we can control the present. And that, my friend, is where peace begins. Understanding karma is not about blaming yourself or others. It's about taking responsibility for your actions now. We can't change the past, but we can choose how we react to the present. And in that choice, we find power. When we accept that our actions have consequences, we also begin to see that we have the ability to create positive ripples in the future. Every thought, every word, every action, no matter how small, contributes to the path we walk. Let's say, for example, that someone wrongs you. Perhaps they say something hurtful, or they betray your trust. The natural reaction might be to feel anger or resentment. But here's where karma comes in. The energy you put out in response to the situation will create ripples, too. If you respond with anger, you might feel justified in the moment, but that anger will only add to your suffering. It might also contribute to more negativity in the world, affecting others around you. But if, instead, you choose to respond with kindness, forgiveness, or understanding, you break the cycle. You create a ripple of peace, then that ripple can transform not only your own life, but the lives of those around you. This doesn't mean you have to accept injustice or allow yourself to be mistreated. It simply means that you choose to respond in a way that promotes peace, both for yourself and for others. By doing this, you take control of your karma. You stop the cycle of negative actions and reactions and begin to cultivate a life filled with more compassion, understanding, and love. Karma teaches us that we are the creators of our own lives. The good and the bad, the joy and the sorrow, all of these are shaped by our actions. But understanding this is not meant to make you feel burdened or guilty. Instead, it is an invitation to live more consciously. It is an invitation to take responsibility for the energy you put into the world, and, in doing so, to create a life that is more aligned with peace and harmony. Now, let's turn our attention to the concept of acceptance. Acceptance is not the same as resignation. It's not about giving up or pretending that things are fine when they're not. Acceptance is about acknowledging reality as it is, without resistance or judgment. When we resist what is happening, when we fight against reality, we only create more suffering for ourselves. But when we accept what is, even if it's painful, we open ourselves to the possibility of peace. In Buddhism, there's a practice known as equanimity. It's the ability to remain balanced and calm in the face of both good and bad. It's about accepting the ups and downs of life without getting swept away by them. When we understand karma, we begin to see that the events in our lives are not punishments or rewards. They are simply the natural result of causes and conditions. When we accept this, we no longer feel the need to fight against life. Instead, we learn to flow with it. This doesn't mean that we should just passively accept everything that happens to us. It means that we should accept what is happening right now, without judgment, and then take wise action to move forward. We can't change the past, and we can't always control the future, but we can control how we respond to the present moment. Acceptance also means letting go of the need to be in control. The more we try to control every aspect of our lives, the more we set ourselves up for frustration and disappointment. Life is unpredictable, and there will always be things we cannot control. But when we let go of the need for control, we free ourselves from the heavy burden of anxiety and fear. Think about it. How many times have you felt stressed out because you were trying to control something that was beyond your control? How many times have you been frustrated by something that wasn't going the way you wanted it to? When we let go of the need to control every outcome, we allow ourselves to experience life more fully. We begin to see that the only thing we can truly control is ourselves, our thoughts, our actions, and our reactions. By understanding karma and practicing acceptance, we begin to live more freely. We let go of the need for things to be a certain way, and instead, we open ourselves to the beauty of life as it is. We no longer fight against the current of life, but instead, we learn to flow with it. And in that flow, we find peace. In the end, karma and acceptance teach us that life is not about avoiding pain or difficulty. It's about how we respond to it. It's about how we choose to live, moment by moment, and how we create a life that reflects our deepest values. When we understand the cause and effect nature of the world, we see that our actions truly matter. And when we accept what is, we stop fighting and start living. This understanding gives us the tools to handle life's storms with grace. Instead of blaming others or feeling helpless, we take responsibility for our own actions and reactions. And in doing so, we find peace, not in the absence of struggle, but in our ability to meet life as it is, with wisdom and compassion. And so, the journey continues. With each moment, we have the opportunity to create new karma, to choose new actions, and to live in a way that brings peace and harmony to ourselves and the world around us. The storm may not always pass quickly, but with understanding and acceptance, we can navigate through it with calm and clarity. The illusion of permanence, seeing change as a friend. In life, we often try to hold on to things we love, to the good moments, the good feelings, the people we care about. We grasp onto them tightly, as though if we hold on long enough, they will never slip away. But what happens when they do slip away? What happens when the things we cherish fade, change, or leave us? We feel pain, sadness, and even fear. But here's a truth that many people miss. Everything changes. Nothing stays the same forever. The very nature of life is change. This doesn't mean that change is something bad. It doesn't mean that we need to resist it. In fact, change is something that, if we can truly accept it, can bring great peace. Change is not the enemy. It's the way of life. It's like the seasons. Winter will always turn into spring, spring into summer, and summer into fall. Just as these natural cycles happen without our interference, so too does change in our own lives. The challenge, however, is in how we respond to it. Most of us are taught to fight against change. When we lose a loved one, or when something we have worked hard for is taken from us, our first instinct is to fight it, to wish it were different. We cling to the past, trying to keep the moments we've had from slipping away. We may even become bitter or angry, wondering why life has to be this way. But fighting against change is like trying to stop the tide from coming in. It's impossible, and in doing so, we only cause ourselves more suffering. The teachings of Buddhism tell us that all things are impermanent. This truth, called anicca, is one of the fundamental insights of the Buddha. It means that everything in life, our possessions, our relationships, our health, our feelings, will change. Some of those changes will be hard to accept, and others will be easier. But what remains constant, what remains always with us, is the ability to understand this truth and find peace in it. We may think that we want things to remain exactly as they are. Perhaps we feel secure when everything in our lives feels stable and predictable. But in reality, this desire for permanence causes us more suffering. We become attached to the idea that life should remain the same. When change inevitably comes, we feel lost and unsure of how to move forward. But here's the beautiful truth. When we stop fighting against change, we free ourselves from that suffering. We can begin to see the world not as a place where everything is fleeting and uncertain, but as a place where everything is connected in a dynamic flow, where each moment is a gift that will never come again. Look at the natural world around you. The river does not stay still. It flows, moving and shifting with each passing moment. A flower blooms and then fades away. The sun rises and sets. Every moment is part of an ever-changing cycle. And so it is with us. Our lives are made up of moments that come and go. The feelings we have today will not last forever. The pain you are feeling now will eventually pass. The joy you're experiencing today will change as well. Everything is in a constant state of flux. We need not fear this change. In fact, we can learn to welcome it. Just as the seasons bring their own beauty and gifts, each phase of life offers something valuable. When we learn to see change as a friend, rather than something to fear, we begin to live with a greater sense of peace. We begin to understand that nothing is lost. Instead, it simply transforms. In this way, change becomes a natural and welcome part of life. It's important to understand that this does not mean we should be indifferent or detached from the things that matter to us. It doesn't mean that we should stop caring or stop loving. Instead, it means that we should not be so attached to any one thing that we become devastated when it changes or is taken from us. By accepting change, we open ourselves up to experience life more fully. We learn to appreciate the moments we have without clinging to them. When we stop holding on to things so tightly, we can experience them more deeply. Think about the relationships in your life. If you're constantly worried about losing someone, you may spend your time holding on to them in a way that actually pushes them away. You may miss out on the depth of the relationship because you're always focused on keeping things the same. But when you understand that change is a part of everything, relationships included, You can live with a greater sense of freedom. You can love more fully without the fear of losing someone. You can experience the beauty of the relationship for what it is without clinging to the idea that it should always be the same. Even the challenges in your life can be seen through the lens of impermanence. When you face hardship, whether it's financial struggles, health issues, or emotional pain, remember that it too will pass. Nothing lasts forever, and just as the storm eventually clears, so too will your struggles ease. It is often the most difficult moments that we can learn the most. These moments teach us about resilience, patience, and the strength we have within ourselves to endure and grow. At times, it may feel like the changes in your life are beyond your control. You may feel like you're being tossed around in a storm with no way of steering the ship. But even in these moments, it's important to remember that you have the power to choose how you respond. You can choose to accept change, to allow it to be a natural part of your life. When you do, you will find that peace comes not from resisting change, but from embracing it. By embracing the truth of impermanence, you begin to let go of the idea that things should always be the same. You free yourself from the need to control everything. And in doing so, you begin to live more fully in the present moment. You experience life as it is, without trying to hold on to any one part of it. In this way, you can find greater peace, no matter what changes come your way. Change is not something to fear. It is something to welcome. It is through change that we grow, that we learn, and that we truly live. The more we embrace change, the more we understand the beauty of each passing moment. And the more we accept that everything is impermanent, the more we can live with a sense of gratitude for what we have without clinging to it. So, the next time you face a change in your life, whether it's a loss, a new beginning, or even something unexpected, remember, change is not your enemy. It is your friend. Embrace it, learn from it, and let it guide you toward a deeper peace. Life is not about holding on to the past, but about moving with the flow of time, accepting the present, and finding joy in the ever-changing nature of existence. Building inner strength, the role of right effort and faith. Life is not about avoiding challenges. It is about how we meet them. You see, it is easy to feel like a victim when things are hard, but Buddhism teaches us something very different. It reminds us that we have an inner strength that we can cultivate, no matter how difficult our situation may seem. In times of hardship, it is important to remember that we have a choice. We can either give in to despair, or we can rise, using the power within us to endure and transform. It is through right effort that we build our strength. Right effort is not about pushing yourself to the limit or forcing change. It's about cultivating a balanced and persistent determination to grow, even when you feel like you're stuck. Think about it for a moment. When you're caught in a bad phase, it can feel like there's no way out, like you're trapped in a cycle of suffering. You might think, no matter what I do, nothing seems to work. But what if I told you that it is precisely in these moments that right effort becomes most important? It is the small steps that matter. The daily practice of taking one mindful breath at a time, the decision to be patient with yourself, the willingness to take one more step forward, even when the path ahead seems unclear. We all know that life is full of challenges, and those challenges can feel so overwhelming, so intense, that we think we will never be able to bear them. But remember, strength doesn't come from avoiding difficulty. Strength comes from meeting it with grace, with acceptance, and with the understanding that this too shall pass. Every hardship, every struggle, is an opportunity to strengthen our inner resolve. It is an opportunity to ask ourselves, how can I grow from this? What can I learn? This is the essence of right effort. Not striving with force, but striving with wisdom, with patience, and with understanding. You might be wondering, but how can I find the strength to keep going when I feel so tired, so overwhelmed? The answer lies in faith. Not in faith as a belief in something outside yourself, but in faith in your own ability to navigate through life's storms. Buddhism teaches us that faith is not blind belief. It is confidence in our own capacity to handle the challenges life throws our way. is the belief that no matter how dark things get, we have the ability to find light again. It is faith in the process, in the teachings, and in the fact that every challenge is an opportunity for growth. But how do we build this kind of faith? First, we must recognize that it is not something that comes naturally to everyone. In fact, many people struggle with faith, especially when life feels out of control. But it is in these moments of doubt, of pain, that our faith can be tested and strengthened. Faith doesn't mean that we expect everything to go perfectly or that we believe things will always be easy. Instead, it is the deep, unwavering belief that we can meet the challenges of life with courage, with perseverance, and with wisdom. One of the most powerful ways to build faith is through mindfulness. Mindfulness teaches us to stay present, to observe our thoughts and feelings without judgment, and to see things as they truly are. When we practice mindfulness, we begin to understand that our thoughts, our emotions, and our circumstances do not define us. They are just passing experiences. This understanding gives us the strength to face the worst of times without being consumed by them. Instead of being swept away by fear, anger, or sadness, we learn to be still, to breathe, and to simply observe. In this way, we strengthen our faith in ourselves and in the process of life. Another way to build inner strength is through compassion. Compassion is the ability to hold ourselves with kindness, especially when we are suffering. Often, when we're going through a difficult phase, we become our own harshest critics. We tell ourselves that we should be stronger, that we should be able to handle things better, or that we should be further along in our journey. But this kind of thinking only adds to our suffering. Instead, we must learn to offer ourselves compassion, to treat ourselves as we would treat a dear friend who is going through a hard time. We need to remind ourselves that it's okay to struggle, that it's okay to be imperfect. This kind of self-compassion is a key ingredient in building the inner strength needed to face life's challenges. There's a beautiful teaching in Buddhism called the Middle Way. The Middle Way is the path of balance. Not too harsh, not too lenient, but a balanced approach to life. When we face a difficult phase, it is easy to swing to one extreme or the other. We might become overly harsh with ourselves, pushing ourselves too hard, expecting perfection. Or we might become too lenient, giving up on our efforts and surrendering to despair. But the middle way teaches us to be kind to ourselves while still making the effort to grow. It teaches us to work toward our goals without overburdening ourselves, to be persistent without being overly rigid, and to remain grounded without losing sight of the bigger picture. Faith and right effort go hand in hand. When we cultivate right effort, we develop faith in our own ability to handle life's challenges. And when we have faith in ourselves, we are able to put in the right effort day after day, knowing that every small step brings us closer to the peace and strength we seek. It's not about rushing toward a solution or forcing things to change. It's about having the faith to trust the process, to take one step at a time, and to know that with every effort, no matter how small, we are moving closer to the life we want to live. Remember that building inner strength is a gradual process. It takes time, patience, and persistence. It is not something that happens overnight. But with right effort, with faith in ourselves, and with compassion, we can move through any bad phase with grace and resilience. And when we look back on these difficult times, we will see that they were not obstacles, but opportunities. Opportunities to build the strength that lies deep within us, waiting to be awakened. So, if you're in a tough phase right now, take a moment to reflect on your own strength. Recognize the power that lies within you. Trust that you have everything you need to get through this, and know that with each step you take, you're becoming stronger, wiser, and more resilient. And when the storm passes, as all storms do, you will be standing there, ready to face whatever comes next, with an unwavering faith in your ability to handle it. The right effort and faith we cultivate today will be the foundation of the strength we carry into the future. And that, in itself, is a beautiful thing. Awakening wisdom, learning from the bad phase itself. In life, when we experience difficult moments, can sometimes feel like the end of the world. But in reality, the hard times we go through are not just obstacles. They are opportunities for growth, for change, and for awakening. When we are caught in a bad phase, it can be tempting to focus only on the pain, the disappointment, and the frustration. We might wish for everything to return to normal, to go back to the way things were before. But what if the very phase you're going through right now is exactly what you need to awaken deeper wisdom in your life? This is what Buddhism teaches us, that suffering, though painful, is not to be avoided but to be understood. By embracing the difficulties we face, we can transform them into lessons that will shape us into wiser, more compassionate beings. Take a moment to reflect on the last difficult time you went through. How did you feel when it was happening? Maybe you felt lost, helpless, or even angry. But with time, those feelings changed, didn't they? The storm passed, and you found a new sense of clarity. In that moment, you were beginning to awaken. The experience itself became a teacher, guiding you toward deeper understanding. Now, think about this. What if every challenge you face is a stepping stone towards enlightenment? What if the difficulties in your life are not punishment, but an invitation to grow? The pain you feel is not something that's meant to break you. It's something that's meant to mold you, to teach you how to see the world in a new way. The Buddha taught that all things are impermanent. Our suffering is also impermanent. It comes, it stays for a while, and then it fades away. But in the process, we have a chance to understand ourselves more deeply. When we experience suffering, we have a unique opportunity to see the truth of our lives, the truth of impermanence, of change, of non-attachment. And when we see the truth, we find peace. This is why it's so important to embrace your difficult times rather than running from them. Running from a storm will only delay the inevitable. But if you stand firm, if you face the storm head-on, you will find that the wind doesn't last forever. The rain will stop, and in the stillness that follows, you will find clarity, strength, and peace. In Buddhism, there's a practice called right view. Right view means seeing things as they truly are, not as we wish them to be, but as they actually are. When we experience suffering, right view helps us see that it is part of life. It's not something to be feared or avoided. It is something to be understood and embraced. When we view suffering through the lens of right view, we no longer see it as an enemy. Instead, we see it as a teacher, one that is showing us the way to wisdom. Let me tell you a story. There was once a man who was walking through a forest when he came across a tree with a strange fruit hanging from its branches. The fruit was dark, almost black. It didn't look very appealing. But the man, curious as he was, picked the fruit and ate it. At first, it tasted bitter, unpleasant, and he almost spat it out. But after swallowing, he began to feel a warmth spread through his body. He felt stronger, more awake, and more alive than he had in a long time. The bitter fruit, it turned out, was the very thing that gave him the strength to move forward on his journey. This story, though simple, is a powerful metaphor for life. The bitter fruit is the suffering we face, the bad phases we endure. At first, it may feel uncomfortable, even unbearable. But in time, it strengthens us. It awakens something within us that we may not have known was there. And in this way, we learn from the very things we wish to avoid. You might be wondering, how do I learn from suffering? How can I find wisdom in the pain I feel? The answer lies in the practice of mindfulness. Mindfulness is the ability to stay present, to remain aware of our thoughts, feelings, and experiences without getting caught up in them. When we practice mindfulness during difficult times, we begin to see things more clearly. We can observe our emotions without judgment and let go of the stories we tell ourselves about our suffering. When you're in a bad phase, it's easy to get lost in your thoughts. You might think things like, "This will never end," or "I can't take this anymore." But mindfulness teaches us to let go of these thoughts. It teaches us to see things as they are, not as we imagine them to be. And when we do this, we find that the suffering begins to lose its power over us. In addition to mindfulness, another tool for awakening wisdom is compassion. Compassion means understanding the suffering of others and extending kindness to them, but also means showing kindness to ourselves. When we're going through a difficult time, it's easy to be hard on ourselves. We might think that we are weak, that we should be able to handle things better, or that we're somehow failing. But this is not the truth. The truth is that we are all human, and we all face struggles. Showing compassion to ourselves means acknowledging our pain without judgment and treating ourselves with the same kindness we would offer to a friend. As you move through your bad phase, remember that you're not alone. All of us face difficulties in life, but it is through these difficulties that we learn, grow, and awaken to a deeper truth. The Buddha said that life is suffering, but he also taught that there's a way out of suffering. That way is through wisdom, compassion, and mindfulness. When you begin to see your struggles as opportunities for growth, you transform your relationship with them. Instead of feeling defeated by the bad phase, you will find the strength to rise above it. You will see that the storm, though fierce, is not here to destroy you. It is here to show you the way to a deeper peace, a peace that can only come when you face life's challenges with courage and wisdom. In the end, the bad phase you're experiencing right now is not the end of your story. It is simply a chapter, and just as every storm passes, so too will this difficult time. But in the process, you will have gained something far more valuable than any material possession. You will have gained wisdom. The wisdom that comes from experiencing life as it is, without illusion or denial. This wisdom will guide you through all the storms to come, and it will help you find peace in the midst of any challenge. So, take a deep breath and trust in the process. Know that you're not defined by the bad phase you're going through. You're defined by how you respond to it. And when you respond with mindfulness, compassion, and wisdom, you will find that no storm is too strong to weather. Sit down gently. Take a breath. Feel the air going in and coming out. Let it be simple. Let it be natural. You have come a long way. You have walked through the storm. You have sat in silence. You have cried. You have questioned. But you are here. You are still standing. That itself is strength. Life, my friend, is not something we win. It is something we understand. It is something we grow into. Many think survival means running fast, fighting hard, or pushing forward. But true survival, in the Buddhist way, means stillness. It means clarity. It means peace. Not outside you. Inside. There were times you thought it would never get better. There were moments when the pain seemed endless. Maybe you asked the sky, "Why me?" Maybe you shouted in your heart, "I can't do this anymore." But now, slowly, step by step, something has changed. Not in the world. In you. You've learned that suffering is not a punishment. It is not personal. It is not forever. It is a teacher. A quiet teacher. A patient one. You only had to sit still long enough to hear its lesson. That lesson is this: everything changes. Everything passes. And nothing, absolutely nothing, can touch your true self. The world will still bring trouble. People will still misunderstand you. Life will still offer days of joy and days of sorrow. But you, the one who watches, the one who breathes, the one who listens, you are not broken. You are not lost. You are awake now. You are seeing clearly. Remember how the Buddha sat under the Bodhi tree? He did not fight his thoughts. He did not run from his fears. He sat quietly and watched them. One by one, they came and went, like clouds in the sky. That is what you have learned. To sit with your storms. To stop fighting the waves. To become the ocean itself. Many ask me, "Master, how do I stay peaceful in this world?" And I say, do not chase peace. Do not demand silence. Instead, make space inside you. Make room for all of it. The joy, the grief, the noise, the stillness. Then peace will come to you on its own, like a bird resting on your shoulder. You do not need to be perfect. You do not need to have all the answers. You only need to stay present. In this moment, right here, nothing is missing. The past is gone. The future is not born yet. This breath is life. And in this breath, you are free. Look around you. You may see pain, but you will also see beauty. A child smiling. A tree dancing in the wind. A cup of tea held with care. This is life in all its forms. Don't rush through it. Don't sleepwalk. Walk slowly. Touch the earth. Feel the rain. Listen to the wind. Everything you need is already here. You have learned that bad phases don't break you. They shape you, like the river shapes the stone. Slowly, gently, deeply, you're no longer afraid of falling, because now you know how to rise. You do not ask, how do I avoid pain? You ask, what can I learn from it? That is true strength. Now, carry this light with you. You may forget sometimes. That is okay. Just return. Return to the breath. Return to stillness. Return to the teachings. Buddhism does not promise a life without suffering. It promises a way to understand it, to rise beyond it, with open eyes and a soft heart. This path does not end here. In fact, it begins now. You have the wisdom. You have the calm. You have the courage. Go back in your life, but this time, walk gently. Speak kindly. Live simply. And above all, stay awake. Stay rooted. Stay kind. There are people around you still in the storm. They're crying quietly. They're waiting for someone to tell them it's going to be okay. You can be that person, not by fixing their pain, but by sitting beside them, by saying, I've been there. I understand. Let's breathe together. That is compassion. Let the Dharma live in your words, in your actions, in your silence. Be the calm in someone's chaos. Be the smile in someone's dark day. Be the gentle whisper that reminds others, you will get through this too. Before we end, I want to remind you gently, there's so many views on this channel, but only 0.2% of people subscribe. If this journey has touched your heart, if it has given you peace, please like, comment, share, and subscribe to Wisdom Woven. It helps us bring these teachings to others who are silently suffering. And most of all, please drop your thoughts in the comments. First, write Namo Buddha to remind yourself that you are awake, that you are not alone, and that you are strong. This is not goodbye. This is a bow of gratitude. You have walked with courage. You have listened with an open heart. Now rise. Walk gently into the world. And when the storm returns, as it always does, you will know the way home. The Buddha is not far away. He is in your breath, in your smile, in your stillness. Peace to you, always.